This meeting is being live streamed. Whoop, whoop, whoop.
Yeah, I'm excited. We haven't done a show with you, Erica, in a little bit, so
Yeah, it's been a
good
while.
to be back. There you are, folks. We are live here with the Ripple Effect, and I'm seeing Erica on the screen, so I'm gonna get back here to where I can chat with you. But I wanted to introduce our last show of the season for a bit. We might do a special. Actually, Eric and I met yesterday about a number of things, and we talked about maybe doing something special for the off season. But we have a special guest today too, which I'm going to read the bio in a minute. I just wanted to give a quick little check or let you introduce yourself, Erica, and maybe tell us a little bit about our discussion yesterday, or if you want to do a check in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, thank you, David, co-host and amazing videographer David Kersten. I am so happy to tune in after our whirlwind meeting yesterday. I had 2 hours of cleanup of all my videos and bringing them over and put them in the right place, and then I get to keep playing with them. So that was so helpful. I can't say enough about getting to work with you, and you have such an amazing, calm way about you that it was just like, whew, grounding. There's a lot going on. So thank you, David, for helping me. And it's great to be here, and I'm excited about our guest. So Tina Kopko is live with us today.
Yeah, and I'm gonna read the bio here.
Yeah,
I just first wanted to just say, just give a little plug for in the fall, we're gonna have some new content to discuss when I put out the Ripple Effect actually ebook. So, which I'm gonna tell you, and we're gonna get your feedback on it ahead of time with some video promo. And it's really bringing a lot of my ideas around quantum leap to fit health and fitness. So, I look forward to sharing it. And like I said, it got pushed back a little bit. It may not be available until the very end of 2026 or 2027. So we'll see. But more to come on that. I just wanted to give a little teaser for that. And I'm gonna just. Did you have a quick testimonial for Tina before I read her bio, or?
yes, of course. I mean, Tina has been in our networking group for a nice long while, and I used to be in a different networking group that Tina was in. So I've gotten to know Tina over the years, Tina Kopko, and I I feel like when I make referrals over to Tina, I know my people are in really good hands with support for their mental health. I know that Tina's an amazing grief recovery method expert, and that's her kind of her sweet spot is working with people going through grief. But we're going to let Tina tell her story and share about her process. But I just always feel like people are really in good hands and supported when I refer them over to her. And yeah, I'm so glad
Yeah,
for
I'll
you
put
coming
the
on our
bio
show
in the
today.
comments. We can let her just introduce herself and give a
Okay.
little crib sheet on her
Yeah,
story.
yeah,
Thank you so much for having me. I'm excited to experience the ripple effect with David and Erica finally, after hearing so many good things about it. So I'm Tina Kopko. I'm a licensed marriage and family therapist. I have a private practice with two offices in Oakland and Walnut Creek, and I also work virtually with anyone located in California. And like you said, Erica, my specialty area, something that I'm really passionate about, is helping people process grief and loss, not just by getting over it, but by actually going back and retrieving things that maybe haven't been completed, things that never got said, things that didn't get heard, and allowing people to express those things in a safe environment so that they can then start the letting go process.
yeah. And you know, there's so much going on. There's so much that is, this is such an intense time for people. There's an unusual amount of strong feelings going on, I would say. So, I mean,
Yeah.
do
Strong
you,
feelings
yeah,
and that can, grief we often associate with feelings of sadness, but it can include other feelings like rage, uh, envy, resentment, powerlessness, fear, anxiety. So I make sure with all my clients that I'm asking the questions to ask them about loss in their life. And when we talk about loss, we include things not only someone who has died, but also things like your faith in something has has ended. The normal routine that you're used to, the normal expectations of lifestyle that you've become accustomed to, that you've worked hard to achieve, are no longer reliable or guaranteed. And so those kinds of experiences can also create feelings of grief. And that's why this process that I use is so effective.
And how did you
Mm,
get kind of connected with this particular process, like the grief recovery method? Do you want to say some
yeah,
things about that? Because
absolutely.
it really seems like it's touched you, and that's one of your ways you really serve. So,
Yeah, it's one of my biggest tools for working with grief. And the way I found it was that I was grieving. I had had 8 major losses over a 2-year period and was just kind of wrecked. Didn't have a lot of energy for life and was feeling really pretty depressed and exhausted and a little bit hopeless, a little bit powerless. Feeling like, is this really what my life is going to be like from now on, with all these losses? And so I was looking for grief support in my own ways, in my own life. And I was also at the same time looking for something that I could specialize in, something that I could become an expert in helping other people through. And I happened to find the grief recovery method. And when I talked to the son of the founder who was running the organization then and now, Cole James, I just felt a lot of alignment with the way he talked about our emotional experience of loss. And it married with what I've always believed is that we need to make room for these feelings rather than try and push them down and make them go away. But we need to actually befriend our feelings and emotions and make them our partners in life rather than try and get rid of them. Because emotions have a purpose in human animals. And I've always wanted other people to make more room for my emotions and let it be okay. And so I thought, yeah, this is really aligned with how I think about what is wrong in our society around how we deal with emotions. And so while I signed up to get my own grief support, I also at the same time signed up to get trained to help other people walk through that process with me.
that's so cool. And so, is there a group that people can tune in to be with you that you're running, or right now it's more individual and you're waiting for the right amount of people to come to your group? What how can people get
Yeah.
started with you? And
I did a lot of groups from 2014 all the way up to spring 2020. And right when I finished my 2020 group, um,
mm,
that's when we all went into lockdown. And so the whole group experience has really changed. And so I am holding this very lightly that if there's parts of the community that would really like me to offer a group, I'm ready, prepared to go. If they can offer a space, that's even better. So right now I'm looking at contacting senior living facilities, elder care, other places where they have space and an audience of people who are all going through loss of some sort. But in the meantime, I am taking however many individual clients want to work with me to walk through that 8-step process. I'm always available for that, whether it's in person or virtual. And if there's parts of the community that really feel called to help me put together a group, I'm ready to go. I have everything I need to be able to start this spring or summer.
very cool. So I will be thinking of you because, there is such a heaviness that seems to be going on again, and just the way that we can, help people find you, help people, if
Yeah,
you're tuning in and you know someone who's grieving or going through something that seems to, it's not a quick thing. It's a process. Everyone's in a different process. So we can, hey, you might want to talk to Tina Kopko because you
yeah,
have this process that can be so healing, and also the community that comes together to do the process. That's also a
yeah.
beautiful thing.
Thank
So,
you for naming this piece, which is how to find me, right? I
yeah.
spent a lot of time and money over the past 10 years doing social media marketing and building a new website. And I found that that really wasn't calling people to action. So it might be harder to find me right now, but I do have two websites, tinakopko.com and authenticitina.com, where people can read more about me. Um, I think I
Yeah.
also have a few YouTube videos, but those might be older. Um, but I'm in a relationship change of my own with social media and the idea of marketing. I feel like my heart really actually wants to be able to serve with this tool in a way that I can offer for free, but still get paid by some kind of organization because I feel like I don't want to be selling things to the end customer. I really would love to get back to a barter system. I don't know how that's going to happen in the US, but I want to be able to offer something so sensitive and so personal and so
Mm,
like so of the moment in a way where people can easily opt in and say yes, like, yes, I could really use that, and find other organizations or groups who have a vested stake in society's mental health to pay for it. I don't know how to make that happen yet. So,
well,
um,
let's talk about that offline because I
yeah,
mean, I love the idea of something like this and collaborating, and I've been jonesing on retreats and creating retreats. So maybe there's something there, and some kind of cool locations where it could happen.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
so
I'd
it'd be
love to
fun to.
brainstorm.
Yeah, it'd be really cool. Okay, so the like your super tips for people during this time. And David, just jump in if you want to say something. We're just
Yeah,
like doing
No,
this
yeah.
no,
like
I admire you. You got it down. So just keep doing what you're doing.
you
I'm
get to ask
taking it all
questions too
in.
if you
Yeah.
have any or
Yeah.
make
Okay.
comments,
Yeah,
please.
Yeah.
absolutely.
I'm not the boss of this thing. So like your super tips for
Yeah.
people
Super
who are
tips
trying.
right now, right? I'm gonna like speak to the moment.
Yeah,
Super tips right now,
do it.
whatever self-care looks like for you, you must make room for it. You have to. It's crucial, or else we're gonna lose you as a functioning member of society, whatever it is you do to contribute to society or do a job or whatever that is. We need you to take care of yourself enough that you can be effective, that you can have hope, that you can stay energized and motivated. And it doesn't matter what it is that you do. So self-care is number one. And some of the things that people do for self-care, it can range from everything from getting up from your computer every hour or every 2 hours and just going outside, getting fresh air, taking a deep breath, listening to the birds, watching the sun filter through the trees, something as simple as that, all the way up to something that I did to take care of myself, which was I left the country for 4 months and I lived somewhere else that was more sane, less expensive, more community minded. And I got a really important reminder that the way things are happening and operating right here in the US right now is not everywhere. It is not like this everywhere. It is like this in other places. It is worse in some places. We have the privilege of being able to step outside of this weird container that we're in right now and say, no, 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 I don't consent to being pushed into this direction in every way possible. So I am going to take myself out of the container and I'm going to do some self-care, whatever that looks like. It could also be making art. I think art is a really important, expressive activity right now, and it activates another part of the brain than social media or business meetings activate. And it's really important that we tap into our own creativity to come up with a vision for what we want for the future of this country. So that's a whole range, but there's lots of things in between that people can do to take care of themselves.
So cool. I got to see some of your art, and I
Yeah.
appreciate that you are a working artist along with your work as a therapist. Like you yourself pour into yourself for your own art, your own
Yeah.
expression, your own creative expression seems to be such a healing. So you walk the walk, you talk the talk, Tina, and you know, I feel inspired by you, and I
Let
feel
me just say a little thank you
calm.
so much for acknowledging that. I would not have called myself an artist a year ago at all. I'm a musician, yes, but I don't create music. I like to sing other people's music. But I was finding that with everything that was happening after the election and what I was struggling to come to terms with, all of my tools around talking and processing emotions and journaling and listening to hopeful podcasts and other people's tips on how to stay sane, none of that was helping me. I was just getting more and more angry. And I was basically on the verge of tears anytime someone talked to me. And my
Mm.
friend, my friend who has her own little art studio just invited me. She just said, just come sit here, just play, just look around the room and just experiment. There's no goal, there's no objective, there's no have to, there's no what it should look like. There's no one going to judge what you make. You can throw it in the garbage if you want when you're done. And over the course of 10 months, I ended up creating basically a representation, a visual representation through mixed media, um, found objects, a visual representation of my grieving process of the democracy I thought I lived in. And at the end of it, I stepped back and looked at it, and my friend was like, "We need to have an exhibition." And I was like, "Oh my gosh, I'm an artist. That's crazy." And so that's why I say, like, step out of the box of what you're supposed to do, of what everyone expects from you. Follow a new path, do something unfamiliar to you, use the creative part of your brain, explore something that's unfamiliar, but a possibility of being able to express yourself in a different way and work through where you are in this moment in your life and validate your emotional response to what life is handing you right now. Make room for a way to express that in a new, less verbal way, but more visual, representational, symbolic way. Look, read other writers and artists, look at art in a new way. Go to an art museum. Like, think about what that person might have been experiencing when they created this piece of art and why they need to express this. And like, find your voice, find your voice in a new way. It was so important for me to get through my grief around letting go of the country I thought I lived in, so that I could re-engage in my work, be hopeful, have an optimism and a positive attitude, and tap into my energy again for what I'm doing here on this planet. So that's my little shout out for art making.
Yeah, I love that. I'll just say a couple things. I think if you look at the artists, it is like their greatest pains that kind of created the best art, and I mostly read like nonfiction, but the fiction I do like are especially the Russian writers, looking at Tolstoy and
Yeah.
Dostoevsky, that, it can help to pick up some of those books or pieces of art that you haven't looked at in a long time to kind of just explore in your mind, like, is there something I can, turn this tragedy into like a new outlet? Or I love what you're saying, kind of transforming the grief into something that's at least neutral or positive, instead of what I was going to ask you is what are some mistakes people do make with their grief, the ways to not handle it, and why you shouldn't do that.
Yeah. Well, I think it's the same as what people are experiencing now, whether they call it grief or not, by pretending that it isn't there and just trying to press on and do your normal routine and serve all the people you're trying to serve and pay all the bills you're trying to pay. And um, just pushing through doesn't always work. Sometimes it's what's needed, but every once in a while, that's not the right solution. And you actually need to stop, take a deep breath, reassess the commitments you've made to other people, to jobs, to children, to people you take care of, um, to your social media audience. And I love people like Heather Cox Richardson who just post sometimes, "Hey, I'm taking the day off. Like, there's some things going wrong and I'll come back tomorrow." And it's
Yeah,
so lovely
she's
to
awesome.
see important people model that. So stop, take a breath, reassess, and reach into a direction that maybe you've been ignoring, whether that's physical self-care, whether that's creativity, whether that's reconnecting with some friends that maybe you've been ignoring and the relationship has been withering a little bit. Like, do something different. Don't just ignore it and expect it to go away.
And doing something different could be going to have a new therapist. Like it could be,
You
you know, if,
could.
if somebody tuning in to our session today, um, you know, if you've never been in therapy, this might be that time. And like, so what do you want to say to new people who've never ever been in therapy and they're fresh to this process?
You know, it's so interesting. I've had conversations recently with people who clearly could benefit from having a therapist, and are still having that. Like, I'm not that bad. I'm not at that point where I need a therapist. And I think that we're in a different age now where the counsel that we used to get from our community is kind of gone. We
Mm-hmm.
can't turn to like the people we live with necessarily or the people we work with, or we can't, or we don't want to open up and share some of the most personal, intimate things that we're dealing with coworkers or a social group, because it changes the dynamic. We don't want to put ourselves in a victim place with people, and then they worry about whether we're okay, or and even psychologists and doctors aren't always the people who listen very well. They're trained to like solve the problem by, suggesting a something, a this, a that, a book, a process, a program, or medication. So they're not so great at listening. What therapists are really great at doing is listening and validating and going
Mm-hmm.
deeper and helping people investigate further into themselves and finding their authentic voice, their authentic heart for what's needed in this moment and without judgment. You know, a really good therapist will do that without judging, without taking a side of what the right thing to do is, but to help you actually tune into what's the right next move for me? How can I see this in a different way? What am I not seeing that maybe an outside person can help me see? And that's why I think right now everyone could use a partner like that in their life to think through what's next.
I love it.
Yeah, that's
I feel happy to hear everything you just said, and it's making me think, Tina. So this is good for me to be able to better refer to you, and it's giving me some ideas.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, I'm so excited that we got to have you on today. And I actually need to jump off for a client. So, David, would you do the honors and wrap up with Miss Tina
yeah,
Kopko?
yeah. We'll just
Okay.
wrap up right now, and we'll catch up with you in the morning. So, Tina, thanks for coming on. I'm going to put your bio, the link to your websites in the comments, and we'll definitely have you back.
Thank
Great
you so
work.
much. Yeah,
Appreciate your
we'll pick a
clarity and
topic.
great energy and your thoughts and ideas. And don't hesitate to reach out to Tina for anything grief related. And we'll talk to you soon.
Okay, thanks, guys.
Bye,
Bye,
Bye.
Tina.
everyone.
Be well.